Hey, my guys. Welcome back to another day of controversial speaking. Huh? I know last week, was it last week? It was on Thursday. We did something, we touched a little bit on the women. uh, yeah, so that's how it will be. Before we start, I would like to let you know we'll be doing these videos every Thursdays and every Sundays. So watch out. You can subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Facebook, and let's keep the conversations going. So that is, expect something from me every Thursday and every Sunday. Mm. The topics will vary. We will be attacking this gender or that gender. So buckle up. So today's 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 talk goes to the women, and we are gonna hit you hard. So I recently had a conversation. In fact, there were conversations with some of my lady friends, and it got heated up at some point. And this was it. It's about what or who should give and who should receive in a relationship. And I know, as you know, I usually ask them questions. So I asked a question, and it was so simple. Um, as a woman, what do you expect? Or as a lady, what do you expect? Or what do you want in a guy? I know most of us, guys and ladies, we normally ask this question a lot, especially when we are getting ourselves into the dating thing. We start by identifying this kind of things. We want to ask these kind of questions. What do you like about me? What would you want in a man? What would you want in a lady? It's the basic chats we have for the first few days before we before we get into the details. And it's a very important part. So, okay, back to the conversation I was having with these friends of mine, these lady friends of mine. When I asked them the question of what would you like in a man, or what do you always expect from a man, their responses were pointed towards one specific thing. And the thing is, the man should give, and always give. And I switched the conversation and talked to a friend of mine who is a guy, and asked him, and I could relate because his response was similar to what I would respond to when asked that question, or how I would respond when asked such a question. And and our responses were mostly not about taking; it was about giving. The women's response is always about taking, or the man giving something. So enough with the terms and the phrases. Let's go into the details now. So I asked the ladies, give me the top three things you'd look for in a man before settling, or when deciding on whether to date them or not. And it's funny because the responses were always the same. Of course, they would be interchanged. Sometimes they would be defined differently. Sometimes they would be given different terms or different names, but they were all on the same thing. And the top three answers for most of the friends I talked to were: first, they want a stable guy. So when you ask them what's stability, stability means he already has a place in the society, a good job. Talk of a good job, talk of a house. He might not have a car, but yeah, generally he can fend for himself and for the lady who is coming in. And that was the first thing that they talked about. Um, After stability, the other response was that I want a man who can provide for me. I don't have to define this. I have to elaborate on this or explain more on this. I think you guys have had a lot of women, whether it's on national television, whether it's on radio, whether you're having a friendly conversation at the club or wherever, at the restaurant, or even that mate of yours when you guys met, when you asked her what she wants, she told you, she definitely told you, she wants a man who can provide for her. And providing means you'll be able to support her in terms of her hair, clothing. If she's going to work, maybe commuting, or let me call it commuter allowance. It's always there in the payslip. But basically, her transport here and there. Probably during the weekend, she would want to go out. She wants a guy who can provide those kind of necessities for the weekend. She wants to hang around with the friends, some cash for liquor, some cash for an adventure with the friends. That's just about it. That's just about the providing part of a man. And that it's almost aligned to a stable guy, but they're two different things. Now, the third thing that women always talk about when you ask them the question about what they want in a guy, it's always this broad concept of a dependable guy. Like, I need someone I can depend on. You see? And when you look at this, they would have so many ways of trying to explain a guy they can depend on. But to me, if I could just narrow it down, it still goes back to the guy giving and the woman taking. The woman or the lady. I like using the word lady. The lady taking and the guy giving. So these three things, a stable guy, a dependable guy or a guy I can depend on, and a guy who can provide or a provider. These three things are always on top of the list of what a woman wants or what interests a woman in a man. And if you're someone who likes to analyze stuff, you realize that stability, dependability, and provision or being a provider, they all fall under one thing: financial state of a guy. There's no guy who can be a provider and you are not financially able. There's no guy who can be stable and you're not financially able. And there's no guy whom a lady can depend on and you're not financially able. These three things go together with money. So in short, the first thing that a woman looks for in a guy, defined in three terms, is financial capability of a guy. Now the rest can follow. From that we can have things like a guy who can protect them. They want to feel safe around a guy. There's also this other one that is very common, and actually there's no woman who won't mention this when you ask that question. A guy who would give them their time, and the most common term they use is attention. These friends of mine kept repeating this thing: a guy must always provide attention to the woman when needed. Okay, so I've talked about almost 5 things, and all these 5, including the top 3, it means the guy needs to give. Always give. Be a giver. And the woman or the lady in this case needs to just be there and receive. So in short, the guy gives, the woman takes. The guy is a giver, the lady is a taker. And trust you me, this is what happens in more than 80% of relationships today. Mostly those that have not yet matured or progressed into marriage. So you find that people are together in a relationship, but one person is always giving while the other is always taking. Like, this is always expected from you. And by the way, I uh, the thing the affection stuff are always amongst the least needed. When the ladies ask the question, they'll be like, okay, the stability, the provider, financial, all that stuff comes first. Then after that, they would now say things like, I also want a guy who would love me for who I am. I want a guy who will trust me. You see, and all these things, by the way, they're about the lady. I hope you get me correctly. They're about the lady. Provide for me. Yeah? Love me, trust me, take care of me, protect me. It's just me, 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 me. You never hear a woman or a lady say that I want a guy who would take care of us, who would provide for us, who would cater for us. It's always love me, protect me, provide for me, buy me, do me this, do me that. Yep. Now let's switch over to what guys want. I talked to just one of my guy friends, and he was like, mine is just simple. I don't need much from a woman. I just need a respectful lady. And by the way, mark my words. This is how I'm saying them. I want a lady who would be very respectful. Okay? And that is always the top of the list of a guy's requirements in a woman. Respect. We really, 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 really need that respect. The second thing, they will tell you that I want a loving woman. I want a loving woman. And loving would go all the way to, like, when you ask them further, they would be like, when I start a family with this lady, I want her to love my kids. Okay? Raise a family, love them, cherish them. Something else guys normally say is a woman who is very motivational should motivate me to pursue my dreams. Where I have tough days, she'll be there. Um, it's almost like a shoulder to lean on, because we guys go through a lot, actually. By the way, I'm not saying that women don't go through a lot, but the guys have a lot to carry on their shoulders. So they need this kind of a thing from a woman, a lady who would motivate them when they have that kind of a tough day. They want to start to begin a business. A lady who will tell them that, yeah, go ahead, this is the right thing to do it this way. That kind of, it's all about inspiration. Let me just say, an inspirational lady. And then they would also want a lady who is a planner. She can plan for things nicely. Give you this money, you budget for it in this way. And by the way, women have that superpower. They're very good planners and partly good executors, or let me say, they know how to implement the plans. And women can plan so well. So when a guy talks about a woman who is a planner, they're like, I need you to manage my finances well. I need to bring this to the house. Take good care of it. Excuse me. Take good care of it. Um, the house, the family, plan for them. What do we take when? When do we go to to church? When do we go for vacations? When are our anniversaries? What are we supposed to be doing? This kind of stuff. A guy needs to focus on other, let me say, provisional duties. Now, the woman needs to plan. It's like a domestic role that a woman plays. And by the way, God blessed a woman with this kind of a power. So guys always want this in a woman. And then on top of it all, of course, they also want sexual pleasure. It's funny because there's no guy who would not mention this. They might not tell you as a lady, but definitely, definitely, sex is part of it. So we need this thing, but there's no way, there's no way, there's no way, and mark my words, there's no way a guy can stay in a relationship where they don't get these kind of rights, the conjugal bedroom kind of rights. It's very important. So when we look at what a guy wants, or what a guy needs, or what interests a guy in a lady, you realize that it's not about taking anything from a lady. Nothing there is about taking. Maybe the sexual part, but I don't always believe that a guy takes something from a woman during intimacy. It's something that is enjoyed by both. So basically, a woman who is a planner, who is a very good motivator, cares, very loving, inspirational, as a shoulder to lean on, and on top of it all, a very respectful lady. All these things are not about taking. It's simple. A woman just needs to be these things. While a man needs to give things. So you see, this is the difference. So today we were focusing on why are we in a world where women always want to take and men are always expected to give. It's very unfair for the guy child. It's very unfair for the boy child. Like, our work is always to give. It's tough. It's tough on a man. It's very tough on a man. And no man will tell you, I want a woman who will respect me, who will love me the way I am, who will do what. They'll always say, a loving woman, a respectful woman, a planner. All these things target the relationship. They target the family. They don't target an individual. A guy doesn't want something from a woman to benefit himself. No. But a woman always wants something. In fact, they always want everything from a man that only benefits them. It's very hurtful. That is the society we live in. So it's very unfortunate and very unfair. And by the way, so many people have been brought up to believe that. I would really like to change people's thought on this. Let's not be, let's have a flexible mindset. We should not just be thinking that a man's responsibility is to give. No. A guy also needs to take something. A man won't ask. He won't ask for something. But a woman needs to provide this thing. I don't know what it is. Women are very different. Figure out what your guy needs, or what your guy wants from you, that you can provide and that can benefit both of you. instead of always just sitting there and waiting to be given. I hope I'm clear. I'm touching on so many people's issues here, and I'm stepping on so many toes. I don't really care, but let facts be facts. I'm calling a spade a spade. Let's not name it a big spoon. It's a spade. We are seriously misusing the boy child. It is hurting, it is irritating, it is unsatisfying, it is demotivating. It is, I don't even have the right words to explain this. It's very bad. The boy child is already an endangered species, and then you want to always keep taking from them. Give. I have a woman who always gives, and believe me, she takes, and she takes nicely because she gives nicely. So, as we move on with our relationships, let's take these to heart. Guys, boys, men are endangered species. Let's not put them into danger anymore. Give them, provide for them the way they do to you. Don't just be someone who wants to receive every single day. Okay? Don't just be a taker. Be a giver. Men will give and they won't tire from giving. We also need to receive. Come on. Till next week on Thursday. See you guys. I'm out.